Good evening. My name is Dahlia Fisher. On behalf of Maltz Museum, welcome to the 2023 Stop the Hate virtual red carpet event. Why do we call it the red carpet? Because our top 10 essay finalists are with us tonight live before the award ceremony begins, and they are our VIPs. But instead of asking them what they're wearing, we will be asking them what they're thinking. Congrats, top 10. If I ask you questions all at once, this could get messy. So I'm going to call in your names to answer a question. Everyone out there watching, let's give these incredible student leaders a virtual round of applause, shall we? Use the chat box to share your messages of congratulations. We're monitoring the chat box and they can see what you're writing. Okay, well, let's get started. One of the themes we'll hear tonight will be about racism. For those of you who chose to dedicate your essays to this topic, could you tell us what gives you hope about the future of race relations in our community? Carmen, would you like to get started with answering this question? Naomi, Misa, and Gabriella will get to you next, so you're prepared. Carmen, would you like to begin?
Yes. What gives me hope is just listening to all these stories and hearing, especially from the younger generation, and just seeing how the younger generation is willing to tell their stories and experiences to educate the community, which I think will lead us into the right direction for talking about race relations and improving our community.
Thank you so much for that thoughtful answer. That's wonderful. And you're in fact one of the people that represent that next generation. And we have so much faith in you because of what you're doing now and standing up and speaking out. Your essay really tells us a lot about how much hope we can have in the next generation. So thank you so much. Naomi, please, can you also respond to the question?
What gives me hope is how my community is handling it. So they started a student diversity program at my school, and then they also did it at the middle school. So it gives me hope that there are active members out there that are working to make the school environment better, to make the overall environment of our city better.
Right, and that was in direct response, if I'm not mistaken, to your actions within your community. And really an incredible thing that you did. You started that whole process, correct? Bravo, really an amazing thing. It's wonderful to see that the community took your lead. Thank you. Misa, could you also respond?
Hi, yes. I think that sometimes the hateful voices can seem like the loudest, but I feel like it's really important to emphasize that it doesn't always mean that they are the most valued, which gives me hope about the future of race relations in my community. As when I shared my experiences of racism with my friends, initially I was really worried that they were going to gaslight me, but I was actually met with very positive responses, and they wanted to help and educate themselves and even create change like me. So what I learned is that positive voices and allies need to speak up in order to diminish the hateful ones. Thank you.
Wow, that is a really powerful statement, Misa. Thank you so much. You gave me chills. Right, sometimes hate seems more powerful, but when you can find allies and unity and positivity, it spreads equally and it can override the hate. And you speak so beautifully. Thank you, Misa. Thank you so much. Gabriella, why don't we round out this question with you, please?
What gives me hope is that there's a spotlight on racism. People are protesting injustice when it occurs. Also, older generations are encouraging their children to take part, just like my dad encourages me.
Oh, yes, I can't help but respond to each of you because each of your answers are so powerful and so beautiful in their own way. And knowing you a little bit through this process and how your father has really instilled these values in you speaks so beautifully to the importance of how hate is taught, and so is love and positivity and inclusion and acceptance. And really circles right back to what Carmen was saying about the next generation and how much hope you have for what you'll be teaching your children and your students and, you know, in the future. So thank you, Gabriella. Thank you all, Carmen, Naomi, Misa. Thank you. We can't wait to hear more from you tonight. Now, Aditi and Evelyn, I want to talk with you about the experiences of the LGBTQ plus community. What is one change you would like to see in our society to increase inclusion? Please, Aditi and Evelyn. Aditi, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I would definitely like to see more youth fighting the discrimination that the LGBTQ plus community faces. And we could do this by decreasing the stigma around topics relating to this and by increasing awareness and empathy for the youth.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Evelyn.
Yeah, I'd really like to see people do their best to be more aware of others and try to be more understanding and educating themselves, whether that be through school programs or online resources, because I think that even if someone doesn't necessarily agree with something, they can still stay educated and respectful enough to make those in the community feel included and safe.
These are just terrific answers. Empathy, inclusion, when you both really represent everything that the contest and the program of Stop the Hate represent. Thank you so much for your voices and your advocacy. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us. Now I'd like to turn to the subject of gender-based discrimination and body image, which are also in 2 essays, and ask what advice or encouragement do Mila and Simone think girls and young women need to hear today in 2023? Mila, would you like to begin?
Yeah, well, I would definitely encourage our young girls and women to not only hear, but accept that they shouldn't allow others to hold that power over them to solely judge them on their appearance. You know, they're much more than just their hair, body, and, skin color. Nowadays, there are several influences that may come in between their self-confidence, such as social media platforms. And quite frankly, it can be challenging at times to battle against societal norms of one's image. It's also important to know that self-love doesn't always come naturally. However, I believe young girls and women should know that their image doesn't determine who they are. And once they take control of the power mentioned previously, they'll be able to conquer situations that put their worth to the test.
Wow, you are so well spoken. Thank you so much. I wish you were there when I was a kid, like in my ear. Thank you. So well spoken and such important things for every young woman to hear. Simone, can you share your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I think that especially in 2023, it's important to know that marginalized bodies are always being, politicized and controlled as a tool to further patriarchal goals. And, we're seeing this through legislation, social media, pop culture, and, down to our interpersonal relationships. So knowing all of that, I think it's important to know that you and your body have power within those larger systems. And even a small an act of standing up for yourself and what feels right for you and your body can be a radical and important act. And, ultimately my advice is to always do what feels right for you and to never let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do with your body.
I absolutely love the statement that about your doing what's right for you and your body can be a radical and important act. That's a great statement. Thank you both. Your words seem liberating and also important, relevant, obvious when you say them out loud, but yet it is an issue that has not gone away and will continue for women and girls to be an issue. And I hope that you are the change for all of us moving into the future, and I believe in you. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Daya, Gianna, you wrote about trauma that has affected you and your families. You are coping and rising above to give back to your community bravely. What words of wisdom do you have for those experiencing personal trauma? Daya, would you like to go first?
So I would want you to remember that there's a higher value of prayers that you could do. And it helps to remember that not, okay, sorry. So remember that there's a higher value to pray to, but things don't always happen the way you wanted it to be. But help others as much as you can. Thank you.
Thank you. We know that you have really been through a lot. And when our audience tonight hears your story, they will be amazed at how you've come through. And we are so proud of you for using your experiences and finding strength within you and through the higher power. And congratulations for being here. Gianna, let's hear from you, please.
All right, just remember that there's always hope, but there's also always help. And it's really easy to focus on the negatives, but for every negative, there's always someone willing to help. And I would just say talk to someone you trust and always remember that one situation doesn't define you.
Thank you. It's such an important thing, what you've just said, this idea that there are people and agencies that are out there for each of us to help, and finding those places and leaning on people that are able to help us is not an act of weakness, but an act of strength. And I think that's something that adults also need to hear. Thank you for reminding us, because it's important. That is not age limited, for sure. So thank you, Gianna. My last question for tonight, is there anyone, any of you would like to thank, or any final words you'd like to share? We don't have much time, so I'll have to ask you to keep your answers to just one or two sentences each. I'm going to go one by one back around from where we started. I'll call on Carmen first. Is there anything you'd like to say in a sentence or two?
I'd just like to thank my parents, especially my mom, who's helped me throughout the years and empowered me as a young woman, and also my teachers, Miss McGraw and Miss Harris, who helped me throughout this process and helped me find my voice as a writer. Yeah.
Thank you, Carmen. Naomi, is there anyone you would like to thank, or any last final words for tonight?
I'd like to thank my principal, Mrs. Brown, for being like a huge advocate throughout the district of how we need to work on diversity and every voice being heard. And then I'd also like to thank my parents for giving me the strength to be able to speak up when I did.
Thank you. Misa.
Hi, yes, I would like to thank my parents for supporting me throughout this journey, as well as my English teacher, Ms. Frisch, and my guidance counselor, Ms. Grieger. And I'd also like to thank the Maltz Museum for this incredible experience and opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're welcome. We're glad you're here. Gabriella.
I would like to thank my parents for allowing me to go to the protests and rallies. And I would like to thank my journalism teacher, Ms. Gale, for encouraging me to just keep going.
Thank you. Aditi.
I would really like to thank my parents and my sister for pushing me to do this, and my English teacher, Ms. Taylor, for helping me throughout this whole thing.
Thank you. Evelyn.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my my English teacher, Miss Garitano, for encouraging me to use my writing as a way to use my voice and share my experiences.
Thank you. Wonderful. Mila, you're up next.
Well, I would love to thank my family and teachers who have supported me throughout this whole process. Their encouragement is definitely one of the things that keeps me going. And of course, thank you to the Maltz Museum for even hosting, such an impactful event for students like me who want to share our voices. Thank you.
Thank you. We're proud of you, all of you. Thank you. Simone.
Hi, I'd like to thank my parents, my teachers, especially Mrs. Bush, for encouraging me, and the Maltz Museum for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. We're very excited for you and grateful for you for standing up and speaking out. Daya.
I want to thank my parents and Miss Gail for believing in me.
Thank you, Daya. Gianna.
I want to thank my whole family, especially my dad, as well as all of my English teachers I've had throughout high school.
Thank you. Okay, well, we are incredibly excited for all of you. I want to say a big congratulations to all the participants, teachers, partners, sponsors, and volunteers, judges who make the Stop the Hate program and contest possible. And to everyone at home watching, thank you for your support. By working together, we can stop the hate. Now, let's start the awards ceremony. Daryl, Courtney, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin. The Maltz Museum, rooted in the Jewish value of respect for all humanity, explores stories of courage from history and today with a commitment to education so that there can be a more inclusive tomorrow. The Maltz Museum exists to stop the hate.
Good evening. I'm Daryl McNair, Chair of the Stop the Hate Committee.
And I'm Courtney Krieger, Manager of the Stop the Hate program.
Welcome to the Maltz Museum's 15th Annual Stop the Hate Awards.
A big night with big prizes.
$100,000 in prizes.
That's right. Tonight we are awarding $100,000 in scholarships, prizes, and anti-bias education grants to Northeast Ohio's students, schools, and educators for being change makers in their communities.
Let's meet a few of them right now. Introducing this year's Stop the Hate Top 20 6th through 12th grade essay finalists. In their own words, this is
Be the Light.
Our generation often talks about how important it is to be an agent of change, to be a source of light.
My new high school, in a small, predominantly white town. I quickly noticed that I was the only person of color.
I pleaded with my mom to straighten my coarse hair so that I could finally fit in.
In class, a boy blurted, "Ching Chong." Everyone laughed. Being half Korean, I was really hurt.
I brought Indian food to school. These stares and questions did eventually make me stop eating my food.
My schools decided to host a soul food fest to honor Black History Month. They served fried chicken, watermelon, greens, banana pudding, and Kool-Aid, all stereotypical Black people food.
My father started taking me to rallies so that I could engage in civic discourse. A police officer said he had been told my father had a firearm on him. This was a lie. I knew the hatred behind the lie could be fatal.
Have you seen the tweets yet? My friend rushed to ask me. Some read violent statements telling a girl to kill herself. Others targeted LGBTQ students, calling them slurs.
We were spat on, told we were pigs.
Kids follow what their parents say, and if their parents choose to hate, that hate will spread.
I saw a mother whisper in this little girl's ear, and the girl shouted, "You're laughable, you gays!" A small girl being coaxed by her family.
No one is born hating anyone.
Growing up as a Jewish child, I was educated on the Holocaust. In my global studies class, we did not read any first-hand accounts or engage in serious discussion. I felt like my ancestors' history was being erased.
The world we live in has had its dark moments. In darkness, we can't see where we are going or what we are doing.
I was sitting in the back seat of my mom's smoke-filled car when the police knocked on the window. My mom was higher than I had ever seen her. Everyone saw my mom get arrested. This is when the bullying started.
Have you ever had a friend who was a bully, but stayed friends with them so you wouldn't get bullied too?
Saying hurtful things about people is wrong, and it happens more often than it should.
One day, I had enough. I told her, if you keep being a bully to other people, I don't want to be your friend anymore.
When I stand up for someone else, there's two of us. We stand together.
I want to be able to shine a light on this bias against Asian Americans, to help make a change.
I am determined to make a change.
We should use our talents in writing, poetry, art, film, or performing to shed light on the challenges people face daily.
Now that I've experienced hate and found my voice, it's my responsibility to shine the light of my advocacy.
By shining a light, I hope to not only honor the memories of Holocaust victims, but also to help ensure protection for future generations.
By shining a light on my situation and being a light for someone in a similar situation, I can help destigmatize addiction.
When people feel seen and heard, they are mentally healthier.
It's okay to be different. It's what makes us special.
It's okay to love who you do, to be who you are.
Your culture shouldn't be something that shames you. It should be something you display and are proud of.
Emailing my principal was the first time I stepped out of my comfort zone and said something about the ignorant racism in the school. And I am glad I did it, because now my principal is very active in learning more. Now we have a committee to prevent further injustices.
Being a source of light is difficult, but creating lasting change is more like starting a fire with damp wood. It may not light the first time, but if you have courage, if you are persistent, if you connect with others to find common ground, and if you continue to advocate for change, it may just catch and provide you with light and warmth in the darkest of nights.
Together, we can stop the hate and shine our light for good.
Wow, these kids are amazing. It's also amazing that there's this platform for us to hear their voices. There are two people who deserve special recognition for creating this platform and the Stop the Hate program. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Milton and Tamar Maltz, co-founders of the Maltz Museum.
It's not a very pretty story, but it was my first encounter with what I call anti-Semitism of that era. There were no buses in those days for children, so we had to walk. So at 5 years of age, I walked my 10 blocks. And when I got there were a group of fellows that were much older. They surrounded me and they said, "You're a Christ killer." They began to tear off my clothes. I had nothing on me other than my shoes, stockings, and underwear. I wrenched myself free and I ran, didn't walk home the 10 blocks. And I was crying and I told my mother, "Who is Christ?" This was my first encounter with anti-Semitism. Once you've been the victim of hate, you have a feeling that other kids need help.
I want to congratulate all of them, and we wish you all the best of luck.
All I can say is,
you're great.
Amen.
Milton and Tamar, thank you for laying the foundation through the Maltz Museum and the Stop the Hate program so that people from all walks of life can build connections.
15 years ago, Stop the Hate started as an essay writing contest called Youth Speak Out. Shortly after, we added a songwriting contest called Youth Sing Out.
Both contests celebrate Northeast Ohio students in 6th through 12th grade who are committed to creating a more accepting and inclusive society by standing up and speaking out against bias and discrimination as they compete for the chance to win prestigious awards.
Stop the Hate is more than a competition. It's a learning journey, engaging youth through in-person and online tours and exhibitions as we continue to evolve. With partners, Lake Erie Inc. and Roots of American Music, we are bringing Stop the Hate workshops into classrooms, allowing more touch points with students every year.
Since the program started, Stop the Hate has reached 50,000 students across 12 counties in Northeast Ohio. Through the generosity of a donor, we will have invested $1.5 million in scholarships, prizes and grants to students, teachers, and schools as of 2023.
Rooted in the Jewish value of respect for all humanity, the Maltz Museum is proud that it continues to give young people of all faiths and backgrounds a platform to speak out in support of inclusion and diversity.
This is made possible thanks to the generous support of our sponsors. They are the Simi J. and Ruth Begun Foundation, the Callahan Foundation, the Chelm Family Foundation, Dealer Tire, Dominion Energy Charitable Foundation, the Harry K. and Emma Rosenfeld Fox Charitable Foundation,
The John and Peggy Garson Family Foundation, Martha Holden Jennings Foundation, Maltz Family Foundation, Nordson Corporation Foundation, and the Helen and Louis Stolier Family Foundation. We would like to recognize our incredible community partners. We might work for different organizations, but we are all in this together. Thank you for your partnership.
To my fellow board members and the Stop the Hate Committee, I would like to thank you for your continued support for the Stop the Hate program, and the museum staff for your flawless execution year after year.
Every year, we receive thousands of essay and song submissions from middle and high school students. This year, we had a total of 3,000 participants writing individual essay and group song lyrics.
Wow, that's incredible. I want to congratulate every participant. Each receives an Upstander certificate that recognizes your accomplishment of speaking out for diversity and inclusion. Well done.
To speak up takes courage. To get to the level of being a finalist is no easy task. Each student entry is read and scored 3 times by a team of 400 volunteer readers. Thank you to our volunteers. Then, the highest scoring essays are read again by a select group of Stop the Hate judges to determine who will be the winners tonight. Thank you to our judges.
Students were asked to respond to a prompt that honored the courage and spirit of civil rights activists whose legacy was explored in the Maltz Museum's special exhibition, This Light of Ours. Inspired by the lyrics to the African-American folk anthem, This Little Light of Mine, it was sung as an expression of unity in the fight for equality and justice for all. We invited all students to share how they were shining their light as an agent of positive change in their communities.
I am excited to share the top 10 11th and 12th grade essays with you now. We met the finalists earlier in the evening with Maltz Museum's Dahlia Fisher. She was interviewing the top 10 live from our virtual red carpet.
Wow, a red carpet, just like the Oscars?
That's right. They are VIPs to us. And the winner of the $20,000 grand prize scholarship will be revealed at the end of tonight's program.
All right, I'm looking forward to hearing from our first finalists. Who do we have?
Dia Chatterpaul in 11th grade from Rhodes College and Career Academy.
A wedding is a strange setting for murder, but that is where it actually happened. During the last night of a Hindu wedding, the men celebrate without the women. At my brother's wedding in Guyana, 3 strangers showed up. They were under the influence of drugs they were planning to sell. Uninvited, they took seats in the banquet hall. My grandfather told them to leave because this was a family ceremony. There were yelling, swearing, and threats. The guys got mad, but they left. These men had bad records with the law, but we were not aware of that. In retaliation, they went to the parking lot and started breaking windshields. My male relatives went out to stop the vandalism. When the vandals saw my relatives, they drew knives from their belt and threatened my grandfather. My brother interceded and was stabbed in the stomach. The last I saw of my brother was in a crime scene photograph. Losing my brother to hatred changed my life. It made me realize how fragile our place in this world is. 1 minute, my brother was a vital part of my family. The next minute, his spirit had left his body. Traditionally, Hindu women stop hate in its tracks. I believed had women been present, the situation would not have spun out of control. In waking nightmares, I wonder if I could have saved my brother's life. I suffer from survivor guilt, but guilt is not always a bad emotion. To honor my brother's memory and assuage my guilt, I joined a nursing program. I have always been a caregiver. When I was 13, I took care of my grandmother when she battled cancer. I gave her medication, bathed her, helped her use the restroom, cooked for her, and helped her at meal times. Some kids may not want to do these things, but I felt blessed to be able to help. Helping my grandmother in her final year showed me how to care for others on a personal level. It is the service mentality that is the light I shine to stop hate. At school, I joined a cosmetology group. We braid hair, give manicures, and supply hygiene products. These are crucial parts of mental well-being. While we braid hair and polish nails, we listen to the people we're serving. By making them feel attractive, we allow their light to shine. When people feel seen and heard, they are mentally healthier. The best way to stop hate is to sow seed of love. I have no idea what trauma made men like those who killed my brother committed such crime. But I'm sure they suffer from mental illness. My career goal is to be a psychiatric nurse. I want to work with people who suffer from mental illness to help them get better and feel part of society. I am only one person with one light to shine, but I will shine my little light on others' darkness to stop hate.
We're going to hear from 10 extraordinary young people who have bravely shared their voices through song and the written word. These stories they share with us show outstanding courage in the face of racism, sexism, xenophobia, homophobia, and more. I hope the stories you'll hear tonight will inspire you as much as they've inspired me. It's time to hear from Simone Davis, 11th grade from Solon High School.
The papers have become wrinkled and soft between my fingers, ink smudging. I am trying to get to everyone in the cafeteria. I jog to the musicians, stride to the swimmers, and over to the freshmen, each group requiring a different tactic to get more signatures. There has been a new dress code instated at our school this year, and I have been circulating a petition to get it changed. It is sexist and biased against curvier frames. It's anachronistic. It'll be your beanies next. After 1 week, the petition has garnered 154 signatures and widespread attention. The dress code has been in place for 2 weeks now, and it is on every girl's mind as she walks into school. Administrators stalk the halls, ignoring basketball players in wife beaters and seniors with obscenely printed shirts, finding their prey in a freshman girl who happened to be wearing a scoop neck. They pounce, escorting her to her locker and watching as she zips up her jacket. They pounce, emailing all of her teachers, assuring them she will not be showing unwarranted skin again. They pounce, and the freshman girl trudges to first period, face burning and confidence destroyed. Our generation often talks about how important it is to be an agent of change, to be a source of light. Social media tends to water down discussions of feminism, tending towards easy slogans rather than direct action. My experience with feminism until this point has been ensconced in a warm bubble of Instagram infographics aglow with gutsy maxims against patriarchy. It is easy to slip away scrolling through the echo chamber of Twitter or TikTok and not see the rampant sexism that permeates every inch of our reality. I am brought quickly down to earth as I stomp around the cafeteria explaining how the dress code is misogynistic. The petition has been my first experience attempting to change a policy that I consider unfair, and the biggest surprise is how personally I am taking it. I did not expect to take each refusal to sign as an emotional offense, but it is hard to keep my eyes from stinging every time a lanky freshman boy grunts nah. Ultimately, the principal shut down the petition after an emotionally charged 45-minute meeting. Nevertheless, instances of dress coding have plummeted since then. Over 200 students signed from a variety of backgrounds. Different races, religions, and sexualities all agreed that this was an issue worth fighting for. What I have learned from this experience is that being a source of light is difficult. Mainstream media advocates pressing a button, essentially turning on the flashlight of your phone. But creating lasting change is more like starting a fire with damp wood. It may not light the first time, but if you have courage, if you are persistent, if you connect with others to find common ground, and if you continue to advocate for change, it may just catch and provide you with light and warmth in the darkest of nights.
For the last 2 years, we've partnered with 2 amazing organizations to bring special Stop the Hate workshops to classrooms, helping students craft personal essays and songs. Thank you, Lake Erie Inc. and Roots of America Music, for helping students find and share their voices with the world through these workshops.
Tonight, we also want to celebrate the schools who participated in the Stop the Hate workshops or who used our Stop the Hate curriculum in their classrooms this year. Our goal is not only to educate, but also to put money back into the schools in the form of anti-bias grants. All participating schools will receive a grant from a $30,000 pool split evenly.
In the past, schools have elected to do amazing things with their anti-bias grants. For example, Collinwood High School created a book club for students and educators, purchasing books on anti-racism, LGBTQ+ issues, and body positivity. Citizens Leadership Academy sent 2 teachers to a Teaching Toward Equity seminar as part of their professional development.
Congratulations, and thank you for committing your school to the essential work of anti-bias education. We can't wait to hear what exciting new projects you'll start.
Now, let's hear from another one of our finalists, Aditi Sanghavi in 12th grade from Aurora High School.
Have you seen the tweets yet? My friend rushed to ask me as I walked into my government class that morning. Naturally, I had no idea what was going on, so I asked, unprepared for what was to come. She held up her phone and her brightly lit screen illuminated my face as my jaw dropped in awe. Tweet after tweet, she scrolled. Some read violent statements telling a girl to kill herself while criticizing the color of her skin, and others targeted LGBTQ students, calling them slurs. I looked up from the phone and saw the culprit of the hateful messages walk through the door and sit in his seat as if nothing had happened. How could he not have any remorse? The tweets got leaked to the principal immediately. I and many others wondered what the punishment would be for the boy. Soon, we discovered he had gotten suspended for 3 measly days. That's all he got after the harm he had caused. Then I remembered there is a reason. He is a wealthy, white male. I watched as my male peers in my government class clapped when he returned from his suspension. I knew that if I or another student like me had committed a similar act, the punishment and reactions would have been far worse. There, I realized how unjust my school actually was, how it strongly favored the rich white people. I also finally understood how oblivious my classmates were to blatant harassment and discrimination, all because they cared what others thought of them. While the girls at my school began to fight for the victims, the boys continued to interact with him. Although I wasn't directly friends with the people targeted, I still stood by their sides, giving them support. I had lost all faith in my school. I thought all hope was lost and we had officially gone dark. However, I was proved wrong. I realized that I should not be focusing on the people who are ignorant, but rather the ones who are fighting for change. They acted as the beacon of light in the momentary darkness. I knew I also had to reflect and take action. Luckily, I could use my resources to my advantage. I began Z Club, a women empowerment club, in my sophomore year. The club works to advocate for women's rights, educate others, and create awareness. Because of this injustice, I knew that Z Club could be used as an illumination for the future to prevent situations like this. I hope through this club we encourage others to take a stand for what they believe in, no matter the judgments received. We need to stop acting on others' principles and start acting on our own to become our own light.
And now we'd like to announce the 10th through 6th grade essay contest winners. Each second place winner will receive a $100 cash prize, and each first place winner will receive a cash prize of $400.
Our second place winners are, in 6th grade, Stella Sipis from Hudson Middle School. In 7th grade, Tia Tien from Hathaway Brown. In 8th grade, Ritika Iyer from Beechwood Middle School. In 9th grade, Katie Smith from Firelands High School. And in 10th grade, Kyle Carroll from Hudson High School.
And our first place winners are, in 6th grade, Grace Clausen from Hudson Middle School. In 7th grade, Olivia Piazza from Learwood Middle School. In 8th grade, Anaya Jane from Beechwood Middle School. In 9th grade, Isabella Swoll from Hawkins School. And in 10th grade, Ezra Ellenbogen from Shaker Heights High School. Congratulations to these courageous student upstanders. After tonight's program, you will find each of these students' essays on our Stop the Hate Learning portal. Visit learn.maltzmuseum.org to read them all. Now for another one of our finalists' essays. This time we'll hear from Carmen Cicerini in 12th grade from Hawkins School.
All Puerto Ricans deserve to be shot. My mom remembers these words more than 20 years after they pierced her ears at a social gathering. A man sitting a few seats from her shared that someone he knew was shot and robbed in Puerto Rico, which prompted his cruel words. Surrounded by business professionals and close acquaintances in a crowded restaurant, she felt isolated. Her heart dropped to the bottom of her stomach, creating a deep, unsettling pit. However, the most gut-wrenching thing was what followed. Silence. The bustling restaurant table that was previously filled with laughter and chatting turned eerily quiet. No one was brave enough to speak. A few moments passed before someone finally said, "Raquel's Puerto Rican." But the damage was already done. Growing up, my mom shared this experience with my two sisters and me, not to make us anxious or worried about how our culture is perceived, but to empower us as young Latinas and to warn us of the dangers of remaining silent when encountering uncomfortable situations. I was stunned to hear her story. I never imagined that something so offensive could happen to someone close to me. I was enraged that my mom endured the pain and humiliation of not only the man's insult, but of the silence of those around her. I realized the negative impact of becoming a bystander, rather than an upstander, when witnessing animosity towards other people. I understood that silence can inflict the same damage, if not more, than any hateful interaction. Learning about my mom's experience, I recognized the importance of speaking out against injustices. I knew I didn't want to perpetuate the same silence my mom and many others with similar experiences have endured. As a future filmmaker, I want to use my love of visual storytelling to make a difference in how people are treated and perceived by sharing the stories of people we don't often hear about, whose lives might be different than our own, to encourage empathy and understanding. Over the summer, I used my filmmaking skills to learn more about the Latinx community in Cleveland. I interviewed 3 Latina leaders who provided perspective on the issues and challenges that Latinos face in Cleveland every day, including lack of resources and discrimination. Through filmmaking, I hope to enact positive change by providing an outlet for minorities and people who are discriminated against to share their stories and inspire others to become involved within their communities, similar to Ava DuVernay's 13th. This Netflix documentary exposed how racial injustice corrupted our justice system and revealed to me the power of visual storytelling in creating systemic change. To fight hate and discrimination, we should use our talents in writing, poetry, art, film, or performing to shed light on the challenges people face daily. Looking at negative situations from a different perspective, focusing on eliminating hatred by spreading awareness, and encouraging a call to action will unite our communities rather than divide us.
It's time to announce the middle school winners for the Stop the Hate songwriting contest.
Respect is a two-way street.
In second place, receiving a $2,000 anti-bias education grant is Tamara Blair's first period class of 7th graders from Newton Baker School of the Arts, They wrote the song Respect is a Two-Way Street, led by teaching artist Bethany Svoboda. And congratulations to our first place winner receiving a $3,500 anti-bias education grant, Mary Matisak's third quarter class from Milkovich Middle School. They wrote the song Harmony with teaching artist Esther Fitz.
Congratulations to both classes. Now we're going to hear from Evelyn Cleary in 11th grade from Lakewood High School.
You're damned to hell. God could never forgive you. An exuberant phrase shouted at us as we paraded around, exemplifying pride and joy for one another. Disgust in objects and words were thrown at us from inside metal pens along the streets, just like animals in cages, although we were the ones being watched and taunted. I even witnessed families with young children dehumanize us. In fact, the crowd stopped for a moment, and I saw a mother whisper in this little girl's ear, and the girl shouted, "You're laughable, you gays!" The most unfunny and hilarious thing I have ever heard. A small girl being coaxed by her family to shout berating things at those expressing who they are. How laughable. How horrifying. The words of hate didn't stop there. We were spat on, told we were pigs, gawked at. Nevertheless, we continued on our parade, expressing our pride, acceptance, respect, love for each other and who we are. Unfortunately, this isn't something that just happened to me, friends, family, or anyone else who was in that crowd. This happens daily, whether it be at other pride parades, online, or even between strangers on the street. This happens everywhere, all the time. The disgusting comments and actions made toward individuals in the LGBTQ+ community are degrading and harmful. Not only is this the reason why people feel like they can't be themselves, but it also causes everyone to feel as though they are doing something wrong. Those who are already struggling with higher rates of body dysmorphia and depression have to sit through strangers telling them that their lives are sickening. It's sickening. Sickening to believe that someone could throw that much hate and disapproval towards humans simply trying to love who they love and be who they are. The LGBTQ+ community ends up starting to feel that what they are doing, the way they feel, and how they are is wrong. It causes those already high rates to be higher. It benefits no one. Not only are people impressing young kids to say such horrific things, but they are creating a dangerous environment for everyone. No one deserves that. Witnessing such comments in person causes some lost hope in humanity. Hope will not be lost forever, though. While it seems dark, there is still some light, and with some effort, it should continue to grow. Light is seen as that hope. It is the ending to the hate and the beginning of peace. While people have caused hate, it is people who can be the light. Those at pride parades, the community, allies, and those who have experienced disgust thrown at them are the light. I, just like many, will continue to parade and share online resources to express love, pride, and acceptance towards others. It is okay to love who you do, to be who you are. Fighting through the negativity to shine on the world will bring light.
Next, let's announce the high school winners of the Stop the Hate songwriting contest.
Life is full of color. Why would you hide it?
In second place, receiving a $2,000 anti-bias education grant, is William Lawton's first period class from Midview High School, with the song Life is Full of Color, led by teaching artist Ray Flanagan.
Words are bullets, words trigger guns. Words are piercing, don't stop, run.
And in first place, winning a $3,500 anti-bias education grant, is Kari Beery's sixth period class from Mayfield High School for their song Where Does the Fault Lie, led by teaching artist Taylor Lamborn.
At the end of the day, where does the fault lie?
Congratulations to all our winners. Thank you to all the schools who participated in our Sing Out contest. You can listen to every class's song online by visiting Stop the Hate Learning Portal. Visit learn.maltzmuseum.org to check out these songs. Let's turn now to another one of our essay contest finalists. This is Gabriella Glenn, 11th grade from Rhodes College and Career Academy.
People say hindsight is 20/20. Looking back at 2020, I see why some call it the year from hell. The pandemic, the protest, and the president were all unprecedented. Life changed in a blink of an eye for the world. For the first time in my life, I felt our country faltering. The election and the tragic loss of George Floyd caused madness. There were worldwide BLM riots alongside hate-fueled rallies even while COVID was still fluctuating. My family believed that a new leader could save us from the chaos the former had caused us. My father started taking me to rallies so that I could engage in the civic discourse under his supervision. The hate we encountered was ridiculous. The rally that sticks with me the most took place in downtown Cleveland. Here I was called the N-word multiple times. We witnessed protesters pushed to the pavement and nearly trampled. My father and I were pushed by the crowd. This almost ended in a way bigger altercation. We were among only a few people of color against the mob that was slowly ramping up. My father started to debate with the crowd. He asked how many times they'd actually discussed opposing viewpoints. None of them knew how to answer. I laughed to myself because it showed how little knowledge they actually possessed. Before leaving the rally, my father and I were approached by a police officer. The police officer said he had been told my father had a firearm on him. This was a lie. I was hurt and shocked. In this climate, I knew the hatred behind the lie could be so fatal. How could someone be so reckless, knowing that many African Americans were being murdered by police? This experience underscored how little Black lives really matter to half of our city's population. It gave me a deeper understanding of the person I am and who I want to be. My mission is to get my words into the world. I want everyone to hear about what's right. That's why I decided to cover politics in our school newspaper. In our most recent issue, I got to interview the mayor. Interviewing him was amazing. I felt good knowing I was able to participate in such an inspiring moment. I asked the mayor many questions about how high school students can stop hate in our city. Then, I published his responses in the school paper. That meeting made me want to do more. My goal in life is to be a legal nurse consultant. Being able to tie law and nursing together means I will advocate for disenfranchised people. I will counsel people of color and conviction who need help, like those from the rallies who only meant to exercise their First Amendment rights. Now that I've experienced hate and found my voice, it's my responsibility to shine the light of my advocacy upon it. That is the way I will continue to stop the hate.
Now it's time to present this year's Stop the Hate Teachers of the Year.
Hello, Anitra and Laverne. I am Liz Novak, and I am honored to be a part of the Stop the Hate team at the Maltz Museum. I enjoy working with teachers, students, and coordinating workshops with our Stop the Hate partners. As you know, through the generosity of a donor, we give out $100,000 in scholarships and prizes to both students and schools. We also recognize individual teachers who go above and beyond in their classrooms as anti-bias education advocates. We ask our partners at Lake Erie Inc. and Roots of American Music to each nominate an educator who exemplified this ideal during Stop the Hate workshops. While there are many deserving teachers, and the choice was very difficult, today we are proud to share exciting news with you. To announce this year's winners, please welcome Vicki Orozco from Newton D. Baker School of the Arts, one of our 2022 Teachers of the Year.
Thank you, Liz. On behalf of Milton and Tamar Maltz, the Maltz Museum, our partners at Lake Erie Inc. and Roots of American Music, and the Stop the Hate Committee, we want to celebrate Laverne McLean at Max Hayes High School and Anitra Howard at Milkovich Middle School. We want to thank you for providing Northeast Ohio students a platform to stand up and speak out against hate through the Stop the Hate program. You have been selected as the 2023 Stop the Hate Educators of the Year. Congratulations.
Oh my goodness.
Two special highlights of my teaching career have been participating in the Stop the Hate programs over the past 7 years and receiving last year's Teacher of the Year award. I'm so proud of all the students for their willingness to share their stories and songs. I'm also grateful for all the teachers like Laverne and Anitra who are involved and create the environment and provide the motivation for students to participate. I also count it a privilege to have worked with some of the many talented artists from Roots of American Music and Lake Erie Inc. The hard work and collaboration of students, teachers, and artists really brings this program to life. Again, thank you and congratulations to both of you for being selected as the 2023 Stop the Hate Teachers of the Year.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
Wow, that is awesome.
We are delighted to share that not only have you both earned a prestigious title, but you will also receive a $1,000 cash prize for your personal use. You have marked your spot in Stop the Hate history. It's been wonderful to work with you and be inspired by you. We know there are many parents, educators, and mentors who want to hear from you. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the editor of Northeast Ohio Parent Magazine, Angela Gartner.
Congratulations. How do you feel about being named the 2023 Educators of the Year?
I am definitely shocked and surprised. This is so exciting. I do feel honored and blessed just to be recognized for just my small part in this important work that Stop the Hate, the program that it provides.
It does feel good to be recognized for the hard work that you put in with your students on a daily basis. It sort of feels like being an unsung hero in the lives of our children.
Why is it important to be involved in this program?
It's very important that our kids are aware of what it means to be the other in society internationally, and how important it is for us to not only, people use the term tolerance, but I use the term acceptance for people from all walks of life and all different ethnicities. And many of my students do not have access to the arts, so it's an opportunity for them to express themselves in a non-threatening environment and something that they don't deem as academic. But I definitely see the correlations between songwriting and just writing in general in my 12th grade English class.
And for me, I think that we live in a world where hate and bias is so prevalent and negativity is so readily accessible that many of our students, we participated in the essay and the songwriting, that sadly they were easy to tell their own personal experiences about bias and hate. We're here to teach our content, but we're also here to develop and help students learn life lessons too, that far outreach the four walls that we teach in. I just think it's important to keep the message of anti-bias and tolerance in the forefront to help to try to change the narrative. And I know that change can only start with our children.
What advice would you give other schools and teachers?
Many students became upstanders. That was a new term that we were able to, utilize in our school. And I think the biggest takeaway is that students realized that they had a voice and that they had a right to use it.
And I know that it's something that I will always do as long as the program exists.
Anitra and Laverne, thank you again for all you do. You are an inspiration to us all. And now, back to Daryl.
Congratulations and thank you for all you do. Next up, we have another finalist, Mila Miller, 12th grade from Berea Mid-Park High School.
Hey guys, we should braid each other's hair. I hear as I come down the vibrant colored slide on our elementary school playground. I assumed there was a group decision to end our infamous game of tag, and I was relieved since I was getting a bit burned out. As I followed the rest of the girls I was playing with, they all sat down in a line, one girl behind the other, twirling their fingers throughout their long, silky hair. I've always wanted to have my hair braided, but since it was a bit of a task at home, I thought it would be nice to finally have someone else do it, especially one of my peers. However, As I sat down in front of another girl, I was told that my hair was weird and too rough. At the time, I didn't completely understand what they meant by that, and I overlooked how they rudely dismissed me from the hair braiding line. Throughout the rest of the day, I did wonder if what they said was true. Is my hair really that weird? Eventually, I began to wonder why I wasn't good enough to be included. Was there something wrong with me? Later on that day, I pleaded with my mom to straighten my coarse hair, since I was determined to be in the next braiding line the following day at school. I could tell my mom was taken aback by my new request, and I explained to her why this was so important, so that I can finally fit in. With a look of concern, she said something to me that I will forever carry. Baby, you don't need to change who you are to fit in. You are beautiful just the way you are, and if people can't see it, then you just keep doing you. From then on, I realized that I did need to be myself. At the time, I was willing to do whatever it took to be part of something that really wasn't meant to be. However, having that discussion with my mom surely did help with finding that self-acceptance within myself. I believe that we can find light in these situations by having these conversations with our young Black girls to instill that it's okay to be different. It's what makes us special. I want to shine my light for positive change in my community by forming discussions for not only young Black women, but for other women of color who have struggled with discrimination just by their appearance. I'm currently a member of my high school's Realizing Your Potential program, and we are a group that encourages diversity and inclusion in our student body. I truly believe that if a safe space was created through this program for young women of color to discuss hair, colorism, and promote self-love, many of us will be able to conquer those dark obstacles of discrimination in order to see that we all really do shine.
Congratulations to Dia, Simone, Aditi, Carmen, Evelyn, Gabriella, and Mila. In addition to your own prizes, each of your schools will receive $500 toward anti-bias education. You are all winners, and we thank you for sharing your passion for justice with us. Congratulations to you all.
There are 3 finalists we haven't heard from yet, and their names are in alphabetical order. Naomi Glass, 12th grader from Green High School, Misa Halls in 12th grade from Avon Lake High School, and Gianna Miller in 12th grade from Rocky River High School. Congratulations to these 3 young women for being our top 3 finalists this year. You each wrote incredible essays, and we're so excited to share your words with our audience tonight.
My hometown is a predominantly white city that I've lived in since I was a baby. I've heard and experienced various racist or ignorant comments since I was young. I've been told, "Black kids are so adorable, I just want to put a leash on them and walk around," or, "Your hair is fake, right?" I could deal with the ignorant comments. However, the people of my community really crossed the line on February 25th, 2022. Last February, my school decided to host a Soul Food Fest to honor Black History Month. They served fried chicken, watermelon, greens, banana pudding, Kool-Aid, and cookies, all stereotypical Black people food. My parents, brother, and I agreed it was cultural appropriation and straight up offensive. As a result, that Sunday evening, I sent an email to my principal expressing my disappointment in the school. My principal responded by claiming the intent of the Soul Food Fest was not cultural appropriation, but cultural celebration. My principal did, however, realize it was offensive after a post on Facebook went viral about the event. The impact this situation had on the small Black community in my town was a combined feeling of disrespect, disappointment, and shame. This situation also impacted my personal life because my plan was to go through school with my head down and earn good grades. Emailing my principal was the first time I stepped out of my comfort zone and said something about the ignorant racism in the school. And I am glad I did it, because now my principal is very active in learning more. I have a helpful relationship with the head of my school, and now we have a committee to prevent further injustices. The response from the parents not only impacted the high school, but also made the entire district rethink how they are handling racist situations and how to prevent non-white students from receiving hate or disrespect. When thinking about the metaphor of light in this situation, I believe my mother is the light in all of this. My mother has always demonstrated standing up for what you believe in and knowing your worth. Without her role model, example, and encouragement, I don't know if I would have had the courage to email my head principal or accept the invitation to be in the Student Diversity Committee. By being in the Student Diversity Committee, I am helping my sisters have a better experience than what my brother and I had growing up, and I am also helping teachers and parents understand why they need to have the tough conversations about loving each other through our differences. By telling my story, I hope it helps other non-white students who believe that keeping to yourself and getting good grades isn't always the way to go when you know you live in a community that could be and needs to be doing better for you and your culture.
My new high school, in a small, predominantly white town, was in high contrast to the diverse South Jersey suburbs of Philadelphia where I grew up. I quickly noticed that I was often the only person of color in a classroom. Early on, I experienced racism and microaggressions, which I had never dealt with before. One impactful situation was when a fellow student, someone I had no prior exchange with, commented on my curly hair as smelly, since, they put fish oil in it. A dozen responses and emotions flooded my mind over the course of the hour, but I sat stunned among my classmates as the teacher carried on in the moment. Later that night, the same student sent a Confederate flag to the class group chat. If this flag offends you, I don't care. Given our previous interaction and being the only black student in the class, I understood it was meant for me. Initially, I felt alone, anxious, and even angry, dark emotions for my affable nature. Yet this unfortunate occurrence also helped me to kindle a passion for social justice. I shared my experiences with my counselor in hopes to improve the climate at my school. One outcome of those conversations was when an opportunity to pilot the Peer Leadership Program, a group of leaders tasked with fostering a more inclusive school culture. When I decided to tell my new friends about my experience, I worried they would gaslight me, but instead was met with empathy and they wanted to help. Ultimately, shedding light on my experiences and offering a different point of view helped me to gain a deeper connection with my school community, because on the other side of those challenges, I learned that I have allies and that I can use my voice to help others. While the process can be arduous, the upshot of putting diversity in the spotlight, especially when inclusion is an overarching goal, can bring people together for a common good and make a positive difference. In my faith, believers are described as lights, not to be hidden, but to be shared for others to benefit. Light is synonymous with truth and hope, which in my view applies to my personal fight and goal toward a more inclusive and just world. While the scale may seem small right now, bringing to light issues of diversity and inclusion looks like everyday interactions, working with fellow students through peer leadership, inviting a classmate without a partner to join my work group, sharing an inclusive perspective in history class, taking courses like contemporary social issues that challenge my own worldviews, and talking openly to friends at lunch about our shared and different experiences and perspectives. I will bring the success and lessons from these interactions with me beyond high school as I build my toolkit and explore these issues deeper to accomplish far-reaching change. I hope that my story will spark others to share their story and shine their light for good.
I was sitting in the back seat of my mom's smoke-filled car when the police knocked on the window. My mom was higher than I had ever seen her, and the officer determined she was putting herself and others in danger. Differing from her previous arrests, we were on my elementary school's campus as she was picking me up from aftercare in 2nd grade. Unluckily for me, all of my classmates were playing outside waiting to be picked up. Everyone saw my mom get arrested. This is when the bullying started. Classmates began looking at me differently, but quickly it progressed to much worse. Beginning in 2nd grade, I had to sleep over at my mom's house on Tuesday nights, and on Wednesdays, I showed up to school with dirty clothes smelling like cigarette smoke, embarrassed at my hygienic state after being at her house. People stopped talking to me, but rather talking about me. An older student I rode the bus with told me that my family being different was a bad thing. I stopped wanting to go to school and was embarrassed of not only my mom's addiction, but my family dynamic of a broken home. Growing up, my dad was the light that I needed to be able to separate my identity from my mother's battle with addiction. My dad helped me deal with the negativity coming from my classmates and my mother, as well as my own self-deprecation. Although I grew up in a neighborhood where my situation was unique, as I get older, I realize that there are many other children who grow up having to suffer the consequences of their parents' addiction. Although I had my dad to guide me through the situation, I know that many children do not have any form of light in their lives. Throughout my high school career, I have volunteered with a local rehab center in order to try to make a positive impact. Although it has been difficult for me to share my story due to the initial response I received from my classmates, it is my goal to be a light for other children whose parents are addicts. I did not have anyone my age to be a light when I was struggling with my own identity despite my mom's addiction, which is why it is my goal to help someone in a similar situation. In situations like this, it is important to shine a light on the reality of the circumstances for everyone involved, in order for addiction to become destigmatized. I was treated poorly by my classmates because no one understood what I was truly going through. By shining a light on my situation and being a light for someone in a similar situation, I can help destigmatize addiction and ensure someone else does not have to endure the same situation I experienced.
Every year, thousands of students participate in the Stop the Hate contest. Over 15 years, we estimate we've connected with 50,000 students. Being among tonight's finalists makes you part of an incredible Stop the Hate legacy. And every one of you should be proud of what you have already accomplished. We know you will continue to do great things.
This year, our second runner-up and the winner of a $5,000 scholarship and a $2,000 grant for her school is Naomi Glass from Green High School.
Our first runner-up and winner of a $10,000 scholarship and a $2,000 grant for her school is Misa Halls from Avon Lake High School.
And finally, our grand prize winner and the recipient of a $20,000 scholarship with a $5,000 grant for her school, from Rocky River High School, Gianna Miller.
Congratulations to all. This isn't the last you'll hear of our incredible finalists. Visit our website to find out about upcoming events and programs. Join our mailing list to get our e-news delivered directly to your inbox.
Thank you for joining us tonight to hear and appreciate the voices of young people in our community. They have so much to say and so much at stake. Together, we can stop the hate.
Good night.